Our next speaker has a liking for big data. While most of us would rather avoid lengthy Excel sheets, he is someone who likes to tease out insights from unstructured data. And that's not all. He's also a technology entrepreneur. While he was a student in New Zealand, he set up One Beep, a data communication company that has won many technology coveted awards. His solutions transmits data using radio signals to remote areas where cellular network and broadband have not reached yet. He is now relocated to Bangalore to kickstart his second venture in the booming big data industry. Please welcome on stage Mr. Vinny Lohan.
Can you hear me at the back? All good? I was just blown away with Charles. My God, if I have half the guts that man has, I'd be, someplace in life right now. When I was invited, I got an email about a few weeks ago saying, Vinny, why don't you come here and speak at the TEDx event? I first had, back in engineering, I had always thought about, I'd do an MBA down the track. But now it was just a full circle coming to a track where an MBA college was asking me to come and speak to some MBA grads. And at that point in time, I realized that I didn't connect to what it means to be an MBA student. Because I always had those dreams in the back of my mind when I was doing engineering, but they went away with time. So I thought I'll refresh them, and then I did a mistake that I started doing a CAT entrance exam test. I almost cried in that test because the maths and the English and the whole level that these tests take you to, I think you really need to be a person who can connect a lot of different dots from a lot of different parts of life to be an excellent MBA grad. And at that point in time, I started thinking, if this is a scenario, then how should I tell my story so I can connect with you guys the best possible way? Because what I wanted to do was so that you leave here today with not a different understanding, but at least a deeper understanding of how I look at my world. And I did not want to connect the dots for you. So I'm going to do this presentation in a very different manner than ones that I've done before to either engineering students or some other places. I'm going to tell you a story, and throughout the whole story, I want you to pick your own meaning from it. And towards the end of it, I'll work with you guys in connecting the dots. But if I could just get the clicker, it'll be quite helpful. Thanks a lot. Yep. But just before we begin, I'll show you the official t-shirt of our company. It says, "Kripya yahan gyan na baate, yahan par sabhi gyani hain." I actually wore this t-shirt to an investor meeting. We didn't get the money, but the thing is, I don't want to work with people who don't have a sense of humor. So till I find an investor who likes this t-shirt, I'm not going to raise money. That's my thinking. But that's the kind of life I try and live as well. That I don't spend a lot of time around people who give me too much gyan. I believe in actual implementation, learning from people who actually do rather than just talk. So I'm just going to take you through the journey of things that I have done. Now, even before I begin on that journey, I just want to challenge this statement, challenging the convention. Because, you see, while I was thinking about this statement, what came to mind was challenging the convention is nothing but a set of rules that you apply to your life. It's just like, give respect to your elders, don't hurt anybody intentionally. So challenging the convention is just a rule like that. And this got me thinking, what have been the rules that I've lived my life by? What have been the subconscious principles that have guided me throughout? And I think while I was thinking about this presentation, it gave me a lot of insight in how my mind works as well. So it was as helpful for me to go through this journey with you guys as I hope it will be as helpful for you as well. So the first story really begins with me back in engineering. So my father was in the Indian Army and retired 2000, and that's when we moved to New Zealand. And I'll skip all of that phase, but I'll start with engineering, because I think by the time I got to engineering, I felt like the decisions that I will make from now on will have a direct impact on my life. Till now, a lot of decisions were made for me, what school would I go to, moving countries. There are a lot of different things that now I was feeling the capability that now I have some aspect of control over my life. So I did engineering because as a kid I liked to open a lot of things, TV, washing machine, cell phones, but I could never put them back. So my mother was pretty happy. So she said, go do engineering so you can put all these things back together. And that's one of the reasons why I did engineering. But by the time I got to third year in engineering, I was very bored. Like, it was all theoretical, why the apple fell. I just couldn't connect with engineering because it wasn't practical. It was all gyan, again and again and again and again. And by the time third year, I had grades which were A pluses in most papers, and then C minuses, almost barely passing in the others. Because I only went to classes that I liked. And the other papers I only studied because I didn't want to fail, so I don't have to spend my summer in, backup classes. But in engineering, there was a time when I was just completely apathetic. I didn't used to go to class, I was just looking for something else to do. I was at the point that I thought I was probably just drop out of engineering. And at this point in time, I was going to my university one day, and I met this guy at the bus stop. This Indian guy, and when you meet Indians overseas, you start to talk to them. And so I started talking to this guy, and he told me, Akash was his name. He said, Vinny, I'm taking part in this competition called Microsoft Imagine Cup. So Microsoft Imagine Cup happens to be the world's biggest technology competition. And the theme of the competition is to use technology to solve the world's toughest issues. So leave it quite open for your imagination to work. And when Akash told me that, I said, well, what happens now? So he said, well, every country prepares projects, looks for a problem, solves it, and every country sends one team to the world finals. So about 400,000 students, 4 lakh students, 127 countries. I was quite blown away with the scale of it. And we had a chat on the bus stop, and he said, Vinny, why don't you come over? We have a national finals next week. I said, okay. He's like, there's free beer and free food. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely coming now. So I told a friend of mine, Kayo Lakadia, another Indian guy, moved to New Zealand around the same time as me. I said, Kayo, why don't we go and have a look? It'll be fun, something different. So we got there, we're sitting in the back. I usually sit at the back. And halfway through, I was just blown away. Because this was the first time that I could connect with somebody. It wasn't like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. It was kids and students that were my age doing something which can make an impact. Till that point in time, everything else was just inspirational speakers, but now these were people who I could connect with. And halfway through, Kayo said to me, Vinny, we should take part in this next year. I said, no, Kayo, we have to win this next year. That was my mentality when I got into it. But, oh, you can't see that. Okay, so at the top it says, cutting edge is the answer. So what I'm seeing more and more and more in technology is that technologists look at technology not as a means to an end, but an end in itself. And that's a big problem. Because what we have to understand is technology has to be implemented to solve a problem. And at that point in time, when I first found out about Imagine Cup, I thought I want to take part in this. We had to find a problem worth solving. And I always thought that illiteracy is a huge problem. I think illiteracy is a root cause of many of the problems that the world faces. So I thought, and I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I knew we had a limited amount of time. I want to make an impact. I want to do something that's worth doing. So I did not want to start another NGO, just starting another thing from scratch and just put my life into it. I thought, what is the world doing right now that I can add value to? Where is that bottleneck in the education sector in the world where I can alleviate that and open new avenues? And as an engineer, I heard about, I'm not sure, how many people have heard of one laptop per child? OLPC? Okay, that's good. So OLPC is a very low-cost laptop device built in MIT for education in the developing world. So 3.2 million of these laptops are out there. Same thing has been done in India, or we are trying to do in India, called Akash tablet. And then there's Intel Classmate PC. But the problem is most of these devices or laptops go in areas that don't have internet. So after a little while, they just sit there like, over-glorified calculators. People use Microsoft Paint and this and that, and these laptops are just so underutilized that I thought that was a big waste of money and resources, and I thought it had real potential. So the bottleneck there was that there was no connectivity. So that's what we did. What we did was we provided them a way that they can plug a FM radio into the computer and use the internet. So you can now download books, download software, download games, whatever you need from sound. So it'll take me a conference to explain how that happens, so I'm going to give you the brief version of it. So what we do is, let's say for example, we take a book and we convert it into a sound file. And the sound can be played over the radio just like you hear music. At the other end, you take a simple piece of wire, plug it into the radio's headphone jack, computer's microphone jack. Now the computer can listen to the sound that's coming in from the radio, and our software converts the sound back to the original file. That's what we initially did for the project. And this opened so many different avenues for us to explore. We thought, what can we not do with this? Can we jump to television frequencies? Can we say plug your TV antenna in the computer and use the internet? What could we not do? And this was the first time when I really felt empowered by my knowledge. I felt like, I've learned something worth having. And that's when the engineering degree, I think a lot of students in India as well, they just finish university without knowing that power that they have. Because even I was speaking at IIT Bombay, where I almost got thrown out of IIT Bombay, because I asked the students, engineers, and like, what do you want to do? Almost 90% of them raised a hand saying, I want to do an MBA. And I don't have anything against an MBA, but they wanted to do an MBA straight out of engineering, which I didn't agree with. I said, you have not felt the power of the degree that you have invested in. You are in one of the best institutes in the world, but you're hell-bent on doing an MBA. Why? So I'm sorry, my mind jumps in mysterious ways. I'll come back to this. Well, when we started One Beep, we did it not just because I wanted to solve a problem, but also because I wanted to make a point. Like Charles said, right? He was doing Bharatanatyam because he also wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove a point that New Zealand is a very small country, yeah? 4 million people in the whole country. That's like a suburb of India. That New Zealand, if we can make an impact on a problem that doesn't even exist in New Zealand, internet is everywhere. If we can make an impact on the world from New Zealand, anybody can do it from anywhere. That was a point I wanted to make. And I'm so proud to say that we won the worldwide finals of Microsoft Imagine Cup with this, platform One Beep. And it was just an amazing journey. But at that point in time, I got so many venture capitalists, angel investors, VCs coming and saying, I want to put money in this, I want to let's commercialize this technology, we can use in marine broadcasting, this. I said, no, I don't want to do that. The objective of this technology was to solve a problem, and I think it has done that. So now what I've decided is One Beep will now be open source, completely free. The source code is going to be given out, and I'm just waiting for what the world is going to do ahead with it, because you have to have your motives clear. And I had my why clear from day one. I knew why I was doing what I was doing. And once you have that clear, no amount of bullshit on the top can distract you. That's what I believe. Well, when One Beep finished, oh, that's me and my team. You see, that's the kind of passion that comes out when you're really doing something that you want to do. I don't think I can open my jaw that big anytime else. So when One Beep, that was third year in engineering. I got so addicted to the fact that, I can really do something with my knowledge, that I had to take part in this competition again. Now, there's a convention that a lot of people are following, is that you begin with the problems that you understand. Or you begin with the problems that you see when you want to solve a problem, or when you want to make an impact. I disagree with that. I think you should believe in imagination. When I worked on my second project, it came about because my mother had malaria when she was pregnant with me. That gave her like a 50% chance of having a stillborn baby. So she went through a lot of post-birth depression and all. And I found out about all these things when I was old enough to understand. And at that point in time, I didn't understand malaria because I had never faced it myself. My imagination just ran as imagined a world which didn't have malaria in it. I tried to imagine that first. And that's where the journey began. So with the second year in the Microsoft Imagine Cup system, I'll reply by saying, which is the closest clinic to you that has medicine? As simple a system as that. It took me about 3 days to code that, and they implemented it in India. I was very happy when that happened. So friends of mine who would be pure technologists will not look at this technology as a groundbreaking technology. And it isn't. It's not about the technology, it's about the impact the technology can make. And I understood this in this project when I was working on it. Well, this is us. This is a different team after winning the Imagine Cup. So now this leads on to the third story. So this was engineering, One Beep and One Buzz. I was very happy. My engineering university degree finished, but now I was like, what do I do next? Because I had never made a CV. I hadn't worked for anybody else, and I don't think I wanted to work for anybody. Because somebody asked me, "You are unemployed?" I said, "No, I'm not unemployed. I'm unemployable. I'll do more damage to your company if you hire me." So I knew I had to build something from ground up. And at that point in time, I realized that New Zealand is a little too small place to begin something. I wanted to be in Asia, and I bought a one-way ticket to come to India. My co-founder at the time quit because he had his own reasons. So I was alone. I didn't know anybody in India, and my parents thought I was crazy because my mother had spent 10 years settling in New Zealand. Now her kid was moving back to India, which she did not like. So when I came back here, it was I wasn't clear what I wanted to do, but I was clear that in India what I was seeing was a conception that people were following the convention of a very services mentality, and I come to a product side of things. I just focused on that particular. Me and him were just talking in the afternoon that there are a lot of problems in India. Of course there are, but as Jitin said, the best problems to solve in the world are also in India, and that's what I focused on. For me, that best problem was I want to change the mindset. I want to change the mindset that India can produce world-class quality software products. That's the problem I chose, because you can't fight everything. You can't change everything. You have to choose your battles carefully. And my battle was that I want to change this mindset. And I started up a company with a friend of mine who I only met on Facebook. This guy, I hadn't known him, but the first time I met him, this is from Bodh Gaya in Bihar. So very, very rural place. And this guy, I don't think I should tell him, he's from a very lower class family. And he got the highest job offer ever given by Amazon in the whole state of Bihar, 24 lakhs at that point in time. And 5 minutes after a conversation, he said, yeah, I'm going to give that up, I'm coming with you. And I was just so shocked at that point in time. I'm like, you know, this is what I loved about India. Some people just invest on the basis of relationships. At that point in time, I really felt that I was in love with the idea of India. And that's when my co-founder came along. We did something that I don't think I would have been possible to do alone. We built up a company now which is running now called White Shark, which is just selected by Microsoft as top 11 startups in the world. We built that in under 6 months, not knowing either of us, not knowing where we are going, but you see, the difference was a lot of people come together because they are friends and they create a vision. It was the other way around for us. We came together because we had a vision, and that's why we became friends. And I think the companies that are based on such a foundation are the ones that go in the long run. Actually, I don't even know what slide comes next. White Shark. So this is what it looks like. I'm not going to talk much about it. As Ted said, you should not talk about your products. I'm not going to talk about my product. But if you used Evernote, and there are a lot of different tools out there in the world that help you make sense of information. I always, you know, as I said, I choose my battles carefully. For me, the battle this time was that I think there's a lot of amazing information on the internet. I think it's one of the most beautiful things ever created, but I think it's also one of the most distracting and one of the most time-consuming things ever to deal with. So how do you make sense of that? Because I knew I wanted to create a company that I spend my life in. I wanted to create a company that will live on for 100 years. So I want to solve a problem or tackle a problem that will exist for 100 years and has existed for a while. And I thought that how do we make sense of internet and how can we put it to work for us is the question. And that's the problem that we are solving with White Shark. And I hope that we are doing this in a way that we can set an example. I'm not doing this to set an example, but I hope we set an example that says, hey, great design and great products can and will come out of India. Now, just to end with, coming back to the challenging the convention, I'm still not comfortable with that term. Martin Luther King is a hero of mine. And people say that Martin Luther King fought the world on the civil rights movement. I don't think so. I think the world fought Martin Luther King. I think the world forced Martin Luther King to fight back. There's a difference. Because I don't think Martin Luther King woke up every day and said, hey, what convention am I going to challenge today? I don't think so. I think he woke up and he said to himself, I'm going to do what I think is right doing. And if just so happens that my actions and my byproduct of my actions is that I'm challenging a convention, then so be it. I don't think we should challenge conventions just by waking up in the morning. I think we should do what we love doing. And at times your actions will be in harmony with the world. You don't have to unnecessarily wage a war against the world. I don't believe in such thinking. If you could pass your life throughout ever challenging a wrong convention. And there's nothing wrong with it, as long as you truly believe that you are doing something that's worth doing. No, not that one. So before I finish, there was something that made a very strong impact on me, and it was a reverse psychology of a principle that almost every entrepreneur is taught, and I think students are taught as well. Look for problems, find problems, and then solve them. I don't believe in that. I believe that ask what makes you come alive. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. As simple as that. Thank you very much.